Yeah, Jason. So there's probably a few facets to that question. So if I break it down, and if we talk about the equipment needed for calibrations, then there's essentially two ways to calibrate these sensors on the vehicles, and this is dictated by the motor vehicle manufacturer and the system providers. It's not something generally we can pick and choose how we're going to calibrate. The few vehicles you can, but there's a dynamic calibration process where with a suitable diagnostic tool, like one of our Megamax range, all our Megamax diagnostic tools are capable of doing calibrations on vehicles. So you basically tell the vehicle that you want to calibrate, for example, a front radar, and you go through a drive cycle. The tool will tell you what conditions you need to meet during that drive cycle. And it might be things like, for example, drive at least 60 kilometres an hour. Sometimes it might say 60 to 70 metres from the preceding vehicle in front of you. And you'll drive and the radar will orientate itself. The software and the algorithms will work out exactly where everything is and calibrate. And with a windscreen camera, for example, it's a similar scenario. You tell the vehicle that you want to calibrate the windscreen camera through the diagnostic tool, and you go for a drive. It will look at things like the traffic signs, the white lines on the road, perhaps pedestrians, perhaps cyclists, and normally 15 to 20 minutes maximum. If the environmental conditions are right, then the dynamic calibration will go through. Now, it's no good trying to calibrate dynamically a windscreen camera at night, for example.
Of course.
Or if it's really, really foggy or pouring down rain, it won't work.
Okay.
So that leads me to the second type of calibration process, which is a static calibration.
Right. So you've got the option of the two.
Well, as I said earlier, some vehicles dictate it must be dynamic or it must be static. Some vehicles, you do a static calibration first and then it's followed up by a dynamic.
Okay.
So to fine-tune it, perhaps is one way of putting it. And as I mentioned, some vehicles you do have a choice whether it's a static or dynamic calibration.